Members and guests, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, can you please unmute your mic? Morning, Madam Chair. Morning, Mamudlulane.
Morning, all.
Good morning, Mrs. Van Dijk. Can you hear me? Mrs. Van Dijk?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry, I can hear you.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to be sure because I see the chairperson can't hear me. I'll try and insert her out and then I will come back.
Okay. Okay. No, Honorable Mhlongo. Oh, good job. Oh, okay. Good morning, honorable members.
Good morning, and good morning, everyone.
Good morning, and all members of the Portfolio Committee and all the invited guests.
Seeming today I'm going to experience the network. Let me just put my picture and close the video. I will close it on and off. I'm having a very serious network. Honorable members, honorable the guest of the committee, good morning. Let me take this opportunity of greeting all as you are seeing the agenda is on our screen. Maybe let me say that let's look at the agenda. The agenda, it's in front of you, opening and welcome, adoption of agenda, apologies, number 4, briefing, as you are seeing, all those who are supposed to brief us, deliberation, and from there, closing. Maybe let me take this opportunity to ask to table the agenda in front of the honorable members, and I'll ask them to adopt the agenda.
Chair?
Yes.
Honorable Zondi.
Yes, Honorable Zondi.
Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, Chair and honorable members. I'd like to propose that we take the agenda as presented.
Okay. Honorable Zondi is proposing that let's adopt the agenda as it.
Mama Bolo is seconding.
Thank you, Honorable Mama Bula is seconded.
Chairperson,
Yes, Honorable Mhlongo.
can you please check your virtual hand? I've been raising my hand for some time.
Okay.
But nonetheless, noted me. Chair, I'm concerned. The agenda we've received and the agenda presented to us are different. I don't understand why. The agenda to me, the briefing, it's fine. item number 2, it says the decision by the minister to exercise. It's not there on this agenda. I don't understand why.
Honorable Mhlongo, I do understand your query, but let's face the agenda now, which is in front of us. That do you have problem with this adoption?
I have a problem. That's why I'm raising this. You gave us an agenda, and there's an amendment agenda today, and we don't even have a presentation. I'm concerned. You cannot dictate terms for us. We have an agenda which it's now amended today without any presentations. Now I'm concerned. We cannot run the portfolio like a spaza shop. I usually say that. The agenda that I have, I'm concerned why this item, it says the decision by the minister to exercise powers in terms of Section 13 of the National Arts Recreation Act 110 of, it's not there. And that is the actual item that the minister must account. And even this one, the agreement reached over the amendment of the MOI. It's not there as agreed.
Honorable,
remember the process and the procedure is members of portfolio committee receive 72 hours, the item, the agenda items, and the presentations. Now, today you've just changed this, and I'm concerned. It's not that I don't respect you, but it's a procedural processes. Thank you.
Hey.
Honorable Knox. Yes. Yes, Honorable Knox.
It's Honorable Zondi, Chair.
Honorable
Yes.
Zondi.
I don't know.
My voice.
Yeah, I've heard your voice, and you'll follow Honorable Zondi, Honorable Siabi.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I want to add my voice to those who say we adopt the agenda. Item 4 says briefing on the decision by the minister to exercise his powers in terms of Section 13. And in terms of the briefing, the department will brief us. The briefing will then deduce what the issue of the agreement reached over amendments in the Memorandum of Incorporation is there on item 4. Be briefed about by the stakeholders, and we take it from there. I support the adoption.
Thank you, Honorable Siabe. Honorable Zondi.
Yes, that is what I wanted to explain. That I heard the concern of Honorable Mhlongo, but I think item 4 is talking the same thing that he is raising. We are covered. The reason why we are saying we should adopt the agenda is because item 4 is covering what he is saying, irrespective of what the previous agenda was saying, because we are going to get a briefing on the decision of the minister in terms of Section 13. That is what we want to know from the minister, that decision. And if item 4 is covering that, I'm happy with the agenda. That is why I raised for the adoption. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Zondi. Honorable Veronica Van Dijk.
Chairperson, my only concern is that we this morning, only 8 minutes before we started, some documentation was still presented to us. So I just want to find out, is this the only documentation that we were supposed to, or is there anything outstanding that we were also still supposed to receive that we have not received? Because that is it is a matter of concern that we receive the communication late.
On that, Honorable Van Dijk, can we talk with it when we start to discuss? We're still adopting the agenda, and those who were supposed to forward the documents, they will respond on your question. Thank you for that question. I'm still seeing the hand of Honorable Tsepo Mhlongo.
Chair, I think note my dissent and my concern. Can it be minuted that we did not get the actual agenda that we agreed upon? And note that there are no presentation received. It's only one that came within 8 minutes before the actual meeting. Can you note that it must be minuted? Thank you. And note our dissent, but will participate.
Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, I may start by greetings to the honorable members here present, Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, if they are present, the delegation of Cricket South Africa led by the interim board chair, the Sascoc delegation, the council members here present, senior management of the department and parliamentary officials, all protocol observed. Good morning, Portfolio Committee on Sports, Arts and Culture. Our mandate is through the Section 42 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa to ensure that the executive organs of the state in the national sphere of government are accountable to it. The Constitution further empowers committees in the National Assembly to perform oversight on the exercise of the national executive. The Portfolio Committee on Sports, Arts and Culture invited Cricket South Africa and Sascoc to the meeting to do a follow-up on the resolutions reached on the meeting that took place on the 6th and 13th October 2020. During this meeting, the forensic report was discussed, and it was found that some members of the organization were implicated in the report. Secondly, the forensic report had recommendations that needed to be implemented, and therefore we would like to find out what is the progress to date with regards to the implementation process. Thirdly, has the interim board been able to perform on their mandate at Cricket South Africa without fear or favor? And has there been any progress since they took over? Sascoc was also mandated to mediate and offer support to Cricket South Africa. What has been their role in the entire process to date? The recent developments seen in the media, whereby the minister had to intervene at Cricket South Africa, made me realize as a chairperson that the challenges have not yet been fully resolved. Therefore, it is important for Cricket South Africa, Sascoc and the department to update the members of the Portfolio Committee of the progress to date with regards to the challenges facing the organization. We must reiterate that transformation, grassroots development, and accessibility of cricket among all citizens, irrespective of socioeconomic status, remain as important priorities within our sport. So as the committee, we look forward to a full engagement with everyone and hope to note all concerns raised to create a progressive way forward. And I would plead that we must handle each one respectfully because we are all leaders of sport. I thank you. Honorable members, I've done according to agenda, opening and welcoming, and the of agenda was already adopted. May I have apologies, honorable members?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have an apology from the Deputy Minister who is attending to a long-standing commitment in the Eastern Cape. And we also have an apology from Ms. Adams who has a bereavement. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other apology?
Chairperson Dennis Joseph.
Yes, Honorable Dennis.
I wrote a letter to the committee. I'd like to be excused by 12:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dennis.
Chairperson,
Hello.
Chairperson, on behalf of Sascoc, I want to record the apologies of board member Mr. Anand Singh and board member Dr. Debbie Alexandra. I see the other board members present, and thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you so much. Any other?
Chairperson.
Yes.
Good.
Okay.
Honorable Chairperson, Vusim.
Yes, Honorable DG, welcome, DG. We appreciated that after a long illness that now you are with us and you are looking healthful, and you are seeing the DG whom we know. Thank you so much, DG. Let alone that the father passed on, but I'm suspecting we are getting there as a family. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those kind words, Chairperson, and the honorable members. Just to indicate that Minister is going to join us. It's just that that there was an assignment he has that has overrun a bit at the GCIS on the issue of Mama Manye Makleke, but he will be joining us. And then I'm not sure if the chairperson of the independent board has been able to. He had a meeting with the Minister of the Minister of Health, and he is likely to be able to join us soon. He had indicated it might overrun just by a few minutes, but he has committed he will be part of the meeting soon thereafter. Those are the two apologies, Honorable Chairperson, that I submit.
I thank you, Honorable DG. Any other apologies? Honorable members, we have about in the committee 2 bereavements. Honorable Adams lost the son. When we were in the oversight, Honorable Adams indicated to me that the son is not well, and whilst we were in Bloemfontein, the father of the son was with him to see the doctors. And I asked, why are you here? He said, no, the husband will take care of. But unfortunately now he passed on. Also, Ujabu has lost the cousin through car accident. Let's take this opportunity to rise, because about some other members, like one member of parliament from Gauteng passed on with the daughter, and maybe because this yesterday we got even in of God, Yesizwe Samazulu passed on. Can we remember them in a moment of a silence? Thank you.
Comrade Chair, and also our secretary in Scope, Comrade Thomas Haman.
Okay, now you forgot Thomas. Thank you, Honorable
Yes.
Member.
Okay,
Oh,
thank you very much,
hum-
Chairperson.
Yes, a humble somebody. Let's do that, Honorable Members. May this soul rest in peace. Amen. Honorable Members, thank you very much. We must not forget to register in order that we must get the vaccine. We must not forget to put our mask, to wash our hands, to keep the distance, to avoid to go to the crowds, big funerals. There are those other places that we don't go as elderly people, where the young ones are going. Please try to avoid that. We meet each other of us. Now, this is the time of point number 4. Point number 4, we've started by A, B, C, by briefing by department, Sascoc and Cricket South Africa. Honorable members, on what we are raising yesterday, day before studying and yesterday, I did call Zolega. I was saying, Zolega, till now we're not having any document presentation, what is going on. And I must share that I did not just fold my arms. And Uzolega did tell me that she didn't get anything. Maybe sometimes when she is here, I would love, in order that you must know that some of the things that honorable members are asking, I did ask. Uzolega was saying he didn't get anything. So that's why I'm saying that when these guests of ours, starting with the department, are giving us a briefing, they must account to us. Why didn't they give us the written information? I'm seeing the hand of Honorable Mhlongo.
Chair, I wonder, and I concur with you, and I wonder if the minister will join us and what time, because the first item, it's the minister. Yes, we did not receive the presentation, and I believe if the minister is here, I won't comment, but if he's not here, I would like you to check, because it seems like the minister is undermining us. The meeting was sent long time ago to his office, and the first item, he must present that first item, irrespective that, yes, we note that we don't have presentation, and it's uncalled for us not to have presentation, but he must give us his brief overview, and obviously we'll engage with him. And Chair, I'll propose, we have 4 items. Can I propose each item we must deliberate, because they'll interlink. We don't want them to exchange. We must engage each item. That is my proposal, Chair. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, there is a proposal on the table by Honorable Mhlongo.
Chairperson?
Yes, Honorable Siabi.
Yes. Chairperson, we have adopted the agenda. And the agenda says we'll receive the 3 presentations and we'll deliberate after that. Can we follow the agenda as adopted, please?
That's the view of the 2 honorable members. The counter view to the Honorable Mhlongo as the agenda has been adopted. Can we follow that?
I'm fine, Chair. Let's follow that. Is the minister presenting the unpresented presentation to us within 72 hours? Can he have an overview verbally? Let's see, not the deputy, not the director, not the DG. The accountable officer to the minister is the DG, but the accountable person to the committee is the minister. Let him start, not the DG. Thank you, Chair. I'm fine. We've adopted that. They have adopted the agenda, and you've noted our dissent.
Honorable members, again, Honorable Mhlongo is raising that concern.
Chairperson,
Yes, Honorable Member.
I don't know what we want, Chairperson, because there was an apology presented. The minister is a member of the EXCO under the leadership of the president. Yes, the minister came to us, but there was an apology presented and there was no objection to that apology. How is the minister going to present when he's not in the meeting?
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes, yes.
The minister has joined the meeting, Madam Chair.
Okay, I was about to say that honorable members, in future, when there is an apology, there's something that it must be followed, and argue in that point whether when Beauty is having an apology, you don't accept Beauty's apology, and then we go on. So we must do that because apologies were presented. So I was about to give the DG to go on because of the apology, and the apology was clear that he is having a GCI. I'm suspecting is part of the government of this Republic of South Africa where he is deployed. But thank you so much. I was about to give you to DG after the deliberation of the members. Is Minister ready to brief us?
Yes, Chair, and good morning to you, everybody, members. No, Chair, once more, my apology. The meeting here took more than what we thought it would.
Forward. Who's that? Who's that disturbing us, please?
Okay, no, Chair, it's not a story. It's a short story of a troubled and messed up Cricket South Africa, which we started, and when we started dealing with the matter of Cricket SA, we emphasized that they should be able to deal with problems as Cricket SA. And problems which relate to misgovernance, lack of leadership at Cricket South Africa, which has created a situation that Cricket South Africa is such a mess that it is a shadow of its former self, as one respected the world over to what it is now, which is really nothing insofar as any serious country in cricket is concerned. After failing to convince them to sort their mess up, which they have created in the first place, we decided, following the law, the Act, the National Sports and Recreation Act of '98 as amended, then we charged Sascoc, the Confederation, to deal with the mess. And after a short space of time, Sascoc came back to the minister and handed over the matter to the minister to deal with. And this is what we have been trying to do. But there's been obstruction all the way from the members' council. And because I was dealing with the matter, I then had to appoint the interim board, which I did. Appointed them, they were supposed to start to work after appointment, which was October. But they couldn't because, again, the members' council didn't want to rectify that. And then after that, what then happened is that they only ratified it in November, and the process started stop and start, promising to move because the direction was very clear. Implement the Nicholson report, transform this organization, transform this spot and this spotting code based on the modern ways of doing things as supported by King 4 here in South Africa, of having the majority of the independents in this spot. And it happens throughout the portfolios in government and so on, and even in private sector. Until the special general meeting where they were supposed to now adopt the changes, which we said, we made it very clear from the beginning that we are not negotiating. We don't negotiate transformation. It must be implemented. So that was the line. And when they got into their special general meeting, having agreed that they are going to adopt it, they rejected it. Seeing that we have been pleading with Cricket South Africa since 2012, after the report, and seeing that we have been patient with them throughout this process, which I've been presiding over as the minister, with powers vested in me by the law of this land, which I've just alluded to, we had no option but to invoke the act. And I said it right from the beginning so that nobody would be confused. So we invoked the act. We started hearing some murmurs from other quarters when we've done that. And the horse has already bolted. The proverbial horse had bolted. That we don't say things which we don't do, you know. And then Sascoc emerged and supported by some in our society. And I explained that, no, that's confusion. It's confusion because the act is clear on who should do what, and that has happened. So we are there now. I got a letter yesterday that they agreed to transform. I said, well, that's good news, but there was no commitment that that has happened until the government gazette went through. After I received their letter, then I reconsidered my position. I am going to be making a public statement together with Cricket South Africa. That's the story, Chair, and that's how far we've gone. So in other words, if these signs which are painted here are true, then cricket has won, transformation has won, backwardness has been defeated. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Let me go to the presentation from Sascoc. Unless did you want to add? But I'm thinking that is mouthful. Sascoc?
Person, I have nothing to add. Minister,
yes. Sascoc,
Thank you, Madam Chair, Minister, and Portfolio Committee members. From Sascoc's position, we are very clear on the matter as well. We are happy now that the Minister has withdrawn the Gazette because that was not in the interest of sport. We, as Sascoc, got involved in the process right at the onset when the matters in cricket surfaced in the media. And at that stage, the main issue was around the Fundunzi report. Sascoc tried to engage with its member, which was Cricket South Africa. And we ran into a stone wall. And it looked as if matters would have to go to court. And at that stage, Sascoc could not afford to follow that process. We therefore asked the Minister to become involved in the process, which the Minister duly did. We then went through a process where cricket, as the Minister stated, where cricket amongst themselves discussed one of the issues of transformation, which was the Memorandum of Incorporation, amongst other governance matters as well. On being notified that the Members' Council was about to adopt the MOI, we corrected the situation by informing our member that there's a Sascoc clause 9.2, which states that any member's constitution needed to be reviewed by Sascoc and sanctioned by Sascoc. We then asked for that process to happen, and at that stage, the MOI was not sent to Sascoc. We then called to have a meeting with the Minister to discuss this matter of the way forward, and the Minister indicated to us that he would meet us at his pleasure, and we've not been able to set up that meeting just yet with the Minister. Sascoc's position at this stage, having now received the MOI, is that Sascoc will review it and through its Members' Council make recommendations to Cricket South Africa on the matter. And that's where we are currently, Madam Chair. We have put together a task team to review the MOI and to make recommendations to the Council meeting of Sascoc, the General Assembly, which takes place on the 8th of May. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. When somebody is presenting and talking, we need that the video must be open and switch off if the network, like myself, I did show the video, and then I'll ask everybody to do that. Thank you about that information. And then let's go to Cricket South Africa.
Thank you, Chair. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if Dr. Nicolai has come online as yet. I'm Rian Richards. I'm the acting president of Cricket South Africa. And I think I would then just make a few brief statements. Unfortunately, I was not requested or was not informed that we had to do a presentation. So, Madam Chair, Honourable Minister of Sport, members of the Portfolio Committee, it is important for us to reflect on how we've arrived at the situation that we are. We must concede that the intervention that has happened was by mutual consent, which extends back to an interaction between the Minister and the Members' Council. We must also be mindful that all the matters that are being tabled, including the Fundunzi report, was commissioned by this Members' Council in order to get Cricket South Africa back to its rightful place, not only within as a national sport, but as an international sport. So a lot of things had happened. The question is that has been arisen is that whether or not the actions of the Members' Council should be viewed and how it should be viewed. the Minister is absolutely correct that our agreement was reached on the 30th, but the very fact was that the interim board must have been able to act within a framework. And that was due in the terms of our opinion in line with the MOI, as well as the Companies Act. And they could not operate outside those guidelines, which was the first matter which led to a bit of a dispute between us. We are also very mindful of the position of the Nicholson report. We had clearly stated that we are well aware of the Nicholson report, and we must be mindful that the current governance structure is a consequence of agreement between Sascoc, the then Minister and Ministry of Sport, and that is how it was undertaken. We're also very open to naturally things transform and needs to move on, and better practices are eligible. But it's how we arrived at the SGM that is one of those matters. There has been allusion in the press and from all quarters that there was consensus. We must be very mindful that it was reported that 9 of the 14 affiliates had indicated their willingness to accept and review a more independent board, as well as 7 of the 14 had indicated their willingness to have an independent chair. And a lot of focus had been placed on those 2 very specific matters. But the Members' Council and the affiliates have raised up to 39 different points of concern within the MOI. And naturally, there was a process that needed to be followed in order for us to get to that. Naturally, we had to look within ourselves as members as well, consult with our various constituencies, get their various opinions, and consolidate. This, unfortunately, is a very tedious process, which results in sometimes timelines not being met. But over the time, we had been able to whittle down the matters to be mostly this failed SGM, as it's now stated. We went to do a lot of reflection, not only among ourselves as members. Why did it fail? What was those key matters that made members not vote or vote in a specific manner? We did a lot of introspection. We did an engagement with the interim board to try and find a solution that is workable for the sport itself. Because we must always be mindful that the sport will always be bigger than any individual or any affiliate. And I think if we arrived that on Sunday through a long debate, very hard, very constructive engagement, we arrived at a workable document. So that is where we find ourselves at this moment. We are also very mindful of the role and the rights given to the Minister in terms of Section 13 of the Sports and Recreation Act, as well as the position of Sascoc, and which at times seems to be divergent, but I'm sure that we can also find a commonality and drive the sport in order for us to achieve the greatness that we deserve as sport and as a country. So I thank you, Madam Chair. I see Dr. Nicolai is joining us now.
Yes. So, Honourable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee and honourable members, in fact, I have been here from the start. I've just not raised my hand. So if the Honourable Chair will allow me, I'm happy to add some additional points to what has already been presented.
You can do so. You can do so.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Colleagues, I think my starting point, or honourable members, my starting point is that governance is at the heart of everything that we do, not only in our country, but internationally. And I'm not going to rehearse and or recount all the various governance failures and missteps that have taken place in cricket in recent times. Suffice to say that the interim board was appointed through a process by the minister that the minister managed, and the appointments of the interim board were ratified by the Members' Council as is required in the MRI of Cricket South Africa on the 15th of November. So de facto, the interim board assumed its roles and responsibilities on the 15th of November. Our appointment was for a minimum of 3 months, a maximum of 6 months. 6 months would end on the 14th of May, 2021. As all honourable members are by now well acquainted, the minister presented a 9-point mandate to this interim board. Germane to those 9 points was the first point, which is the implementation of the Nicholson recommendations and the restoration of governance within the purview of cricket in our country. Of course, I'm not going to burden the committee with the various perceptions that prevail both domestically and internationally about the governance. And it's also pretty obvious why that first point was the germane point. Of the 9 points, I think the interim board has largely successfully executed on these. And of course, we will be presenting a report with both our findings and recommendations, and also areas where we've had the opportunity to close out on those 9 points. We will be doing that within the next 10 days. It will be a formal handover to the minister. And of course, the one area that we have been battling with since inception is the very area that we are discussing, the implementation of Nicholson. But I need to hasten to add that governance requirements do not start and end at Nicholson. Nicholson was a skeleton. The interim board had to put the flesh onto the skeleton. And putting on the flesh onto the skeleton means that you have to look at all the other international and domestic best practice governance requirements. So whether it's Kings 3 and 4 or other best practice requirements, amended Companies Act, etc., etc. And that's what we sought out to do. I'm not going to also burden this committee with the failed SGM and how we arrived there. I think it's been well rehearsed again and well documented. There is a timeline that we can possibly even share with the committee if necessary, how we arrived at that point. I think what's important is how we moved forward from the SGM. And moving on from the SGM, which of course was exceedingly disappointing, it placed cricket firmly at the edge of the cliff. And were there not immediate and urgent action taken, primarily by the Members' Council and the interim board, and were we not able to find each other with great speed and urgency, I'm afraid cricket would have been pushed off the cliff. And I think the plunge off the cliff would have been a very deep and destructive one, and probably would have placed cricket on a point of no return. So leading up to this point of no return, we were very conscious. Once there was a failed SGM, we were very conscious of what public opinion was, and also the opinion of key stakeholders. Again, in the main, those key stakeholders include inter alia, sponsors, players, multilateral institutions, of course, the staff at Cricket South Africa, who I must commend for their resilience, their durability, and their commitment under very difficult times. I need to commend and compliment them. They've stuck through thick and thin, and many others would not have done so. So we need to realize, Honourable Chairperson, that cricket is not just about a sporting code or discipline. Cricket is much bigger than that and much broader than that. It's got an educational aspect to it. It's got an economic aspect to that. It is critical in the international positioning of our country. We should never underestimate how investment bankers and others perceive our country according to how we administer various agencies, organs of state, municipalities, whatever the case might be. And cricket does not escape that scrutiny either. And we've seen that. In a different world, Honorable Chair, I sit on the BRICS committee, and it's been for some time now that our Indian colleagues have been raising this with me, maybe tongue in cheek, but there's an implied and subliminal message there. So sorting this issue out with cricket, as the Minister, Honourable Minister has stated on a number of occasions, is not just about sorting out a sporting code. It is much bigger than that. And it plays to how we position our country internationally and domestically, and what reputation, enhancement and or diminution we get by not resolving this issue. So I wanted to overstate this point, Chair, not because I want to belabor the point, but it is important that we place the right context and relevance to cricket being at the edge of the cliff and what would have happened if it went over the cliff. The ramifications would have been much broader than just a sporting code being brought to its knees. It would have had significant implications for many sectors of society and also for the positioning of our country. Okay, so let me move on from the, as Mr. Richard said, the so-called failed SGM. We understood now that we were on the brink and had to act quickly. And it led to a series of meetings and various interventions and interactions. Of course, the Minister and the interim board supported the action of the Minister, because we clearly understand the powers that the Minister has in terms of the Act. But I think more importantly, we also understand that the Minister is representing the government and the people of South Africa. So it wasn't around about 200,000 cricketers. It's about 60 million South Africans. So we understood all of that, and we were aligned with what the Minister was aiming to achieve here. So a series of meetings happened. A pivotal meeting, a historic one, if you wish, took place from 10 a.m. last Sunday. I think we ended off, Mr. Richards, probably at around 9 in the evening. And consecutively through the day, with the legal teams and all the various other support elements, we were able to arrive at a point of full alignment, completely at idem, with the amendments that were required to be executed on the MRI in order to bring cricket into line with modern day governance, with what is best practice, and also the Nicholson recommendations, which I said were skeletal in nature, but everything else added the flesh to the skeleton. So that's where we arrived at around 9 p.m. on Friday evening. That was an agreement between the interim board and the members' council. The wording was amended in situ by the lawyers, and by the end of that night, we had a final document with which we could trigger what is called a Section 60 notice. What is a Section 60 in terms of the Companies Act and in terms of the Memorandum of Incorporation of Cricket South Africa? This is a process I'm sure most honourable members know, enables a round-robin resolution to give effect to both special and ordinary resolutions. So that process was triggered. The MRI contained, the amended MRI was attached to the round-robin resolutions and circulated to the entirety of the members' council. In other words, all the affiliates and or unions of Cricket South Africa received this amended memorandum, and there was a special and an ordinary resolution respectively that had to be passed by the Members' Council. I'm very pleased to report back, Chair, and I'm going to also commend Mr. Richards and his team. At 11 a.m., and that's a very important date and time to remember, 11 a.m. on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, which was the 27th, I believe. 27th, 11 a.m., the resolution was passed unanimously, the resolutions. In other words, all 14 out of 14 affiliates voted in favor, so it's unanimous and it's unequivocal, and it demonstrates a strong support by cricket in this country to embrace modern day governance and what is best practice domestically and internationally. Okay. Now, what were some of the fundamental amendments in the MOI, the amended MOI? I'm not going to list all of them. I'm just going to highlight 2 or 3 of them. The first thing this does, it provides a clear role clarity, accountability, responsibility, and transparency between the Members' Council and the Interim Board. So honourable members will recognise and realise that previously there was a confused role between the two centres of power, if you wish, and we all know what happens with 2 centres of power, and when roles are intertwined and cannot be clarified, you can never have accountability, nor can you have transparency. So that was the first fundamental principle that was amended. Okay. The second fundamental principle is we have now made provision for an independent majority board. Okay. So what does that mean? We now have a board of 15 directors. 8 of the 15 directors will be, I'm not saying shall be, I'm saying will be, because this has all been signed off, will be independent, non-executive directors. Okay. You will then have 5 non-independent directors and 2 executives completing the board. The 2 executives will be the CEO and the Chief Financial Officer, the CFO. So that's fundamental change number 2. Okay, let me go to the last one of the 3. I'm not going to mention all of these in detail. We will be making the MRI available for purposes of full transparency at a press conference later on this afternoon. It will become available to the public. It has been signed off. Mr. Richards and I agree we are now in a position where we can release this to the public. We wish to be transparent, and that is why we are doing it. So let me go through the third and final fundamental principle that was agreed. This is an independent chairperson of the board. Okay, so how will that work in practical terms? It will mean that the board of 15, so all directors, will elect from the midst of the 8 independent directors, one of those to be the independent chairperson of the board. Okay, let me also add some further color and context to that. So the definition of an independent does not mean anybody that has got either sporting administration, cricketing knowledge. They are not excluded from this. All it means is that at that point in time, they have to be independent. In other words, if they were previously involved in cricket, they would have had to have served a cooling off period. They cannot be conflicted. So you cannot have someone that's sitting in a union also sitting on the board as an independent. They're clearly not independent. Okay. That addresses some of the concerns that you are leaving out fully in the cold sporting administrators and all those with a cricketing background. That's not true. I see that's been raised in the media, and we need to dispel those myths, and we need to dispel them forcibly. Of course, chairperson of the committee, as with any board, whether it's in the public or the private sector, the nominations committee is tasked with the responsibility of finding the right skills and competence, the right skills mix and competence for the board. And of course, cricketing and or sporting knowledge and or experience, administrative experience will form one of those criteria, as will accounting knowledge, knowledge in strategy, knowledge in international relations, knowledge, legal knowledge, and many of the other skills and competencies that are required to make an effective board. Remember, any board is composed of a mix of skills. It's like any football team. You've got players 1 to 11. You can't have 11 Jomosonos in a team because you won't win. It sounds great to have 11 troublemaker sonos, but they're not going to work for you, right? You need from number 1 to 11. You need a decent goalkeeper. Oscar Dlamini can't be your goalkeeper. He's a left back. Okay, so it's the same with a board. You need the right skill set and mix, and that's what we are looking towards. And finally, Chair, and I'm sorry I've been long-winded, but it was really important that I set this out in detail. May I say that the first board will be appointed through a process. This process is contained in the amended Memorandum of Incorporation. It sets out a independent directors panel, which will be composed of 6 constituencies. So each of these 6 constituencies will nominate 1 representative to sit on this panel, and this panel will screen all the applications for independent directors and arrive at a short list, which will then be taken to the next annual general meeting. And at that annual general meeting, we will appoint the inaugural board of this restructured or recomposed Memorandum of Incorporation guidance. So the 6 constituencies on the panel include the following. They include number 1, in no particular order, the Institute of Directors. Number 2, the Members' Council. Number 3, the legal fraternity. Number 4, SAICA, the South African Chartered Accountants Institute. Number 5, a representative, man or woman, who has international experience emanating out of SACA, that's the Players Association. And lastly, a nominee or representative from the former presidents of Cricket South Africa. So we thought that was a suitable and appropriate balance and mix to get us to what would be a short list of independent directors that would be put forward for election and appointment at the annual general meeting. I'm going to, Madam Chair, I'm going to spare you the details on the timelines of the AGM. We have got a very detailed critical path schedule that gets us there. It's the intention to complete all of this by no later than the 12th of June. So by the 12th of June, Cricket South Africa will be well on the way to restoration. It will have a brand new Memorandum of Incorporation that each and every one of us as South Africans can be proud of. And number 2, it will have a new board that is independent with an independent chairperson. Chair, this is my final comment. The duty and task of the interim board will be completed when we make the submission of the report on the 9-point mandate to the Minister, the Honourable Minister, That, as I said, will happen within the next 10 days. And then you have to manage a bit of a vacuum period. We've got advice on how to manage that. And of course, this will form part of the report as well. But suffice to say, Chair, that I think a lot has happened and been achieved in the last few days. I think in true South African fashion, we've sat around the table, engaged and dialogued and brought things back from the brink of collapse and or jump. You know, when you're off that cliff, you can't come back off the cliff again. So I'd like to make that submission, and I'd like to thank the honourable members for affording us this opportunity. In particular, I would like to thank the Minister and his team for their leadership. Their leadership was always at a high level. We did not find them at all interfering in any of the processes and systems and the minutiae. It was a high-level intervention rather than interfering. And I think that intervention needs to be commended because we have saved what was a very precarious position. And thanks very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. At least we did get a full detail of what has been happening since the 13th of last year, because some of us were worried that since then, 2020, in our last meetings, we've been seeing what all of you have just said. You have come to this. Honorable members, that's now your time to engage to the presentation. Honorable Mhlongo, I don't know, guitarist, who's so guitarist? Who's that?
That is Mr. Mahlengozi, Madam Chair.
Oh, I remember now. That,
yes.
Is that guitar? Hey, guitar. After is Honorable Mhlongo, Honorable Mahlengozi, Honorable Mama Bulo, in that order. Thank you, honorable members.
Dennis Joseph, Chairperson, thank you. Dennis Joseph.
Honorable Dennis, Honorable Van Dijk, Honorable Siabe, in that order.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, I'll be switching off my video.
Okay.
But you said we must just show our face, and then I'm
Yes.
respecting you. I'm just showing my, and then I'll switch off my video. Thank you, Chair. Chair, I wanted to raise a concern firstly. You know, you made, not you as the chair, but all stakeholders, the minister, the CSA, Sascoc, you made our life difficult to do an oversight over you because we don't have a copy of all the documents that you spoke about. MOU, amended one, even the old one, King 3 and 4, 15 directors, roles and responsibility. Now, I'll propose in future, Chair, and to the Minister, I think the suggestion that will make sports good for us and as a portfolio committee to participate. I think it's advisable for us, the Minister, because we did this again in October. There were issues in cricket. We had to call. I had to write a letter to the chair instead of the Minister must. I think I'm proposing that in future, these issues must not only be heard on the media without us as a portfolio committee to know exactly what is happening. Right now, it's late for us even to comment, but I have concern and questions to ask because I'm doing my oversight work. Minister, this question is directly to all sectors. Minister Sascoc, CSA. Is there a dispute between Sascoc and its members, which CSA? In other words, is there a dispute between Sascoc and its members, which is CSA? And if yes or no, I wanted to find out why do we discuss or why do you touch Section 13 as Minister stated clearly that he's dealing with Section 13. Can I get information both to the Minister, all of the sectors? Where in the Nicholas report is the dispute that federation must have an independent directors as president? Can I get that? Which line is it that state clearly that we need to have independent directors as presidents in the Nicholas report? Why has the agreement between previous sports minister and the present minister ignored? In other words, why the agreement that I was aware of that between the previous minister and Sascoc was totally ignored by you, Minister Natim Tetra, because there was an agreement. Why are there other, maybe I can ask the minister directly this, are we going to do this to all national federation? Why are the other federation complying with Sascoc MOI? Will this differ with a MOI that is amended to CSA? Is SAFA, SARU, all other federation going to be treated the same with scrutiny, especially with their transgressions? Will this preside, or what precedent are we setting, or with all this moving forward, especially to all federation? Is this a presidency that we are going to implement to all sectors, especially in sports? I wanted to find out, I'm repeating this question, and I want the minister to tell us exactly, is this your intention to make sure that all national federation include majority of independent directors in all its sports? If not, why not? Do the minister respect the rights of democracy of sports structures to elect its leaders? This is directly to you, Minister. Minister, are you aware of the critical role that leaders in sports are playing as volunteers from grassroots and in other top level of government? Did the minister follow process, especially in evoking this section 13? I think it aligns with my first question. Did the minister engage Sascoc board under the new leadership, Mr. Hendricks, to resolve this matter? You know, I'm asking this, Minister, I even refer you to the October meeting. The portfolio committee stated clearly that we don't clearly supported the AGM as Sascoc. It was clearly stated that, and you said you were not aware, Minister. Now, did you resolve these issues? Because we see these issues yourself and the present presidents, yes, Sascoc. Last time in October, you said you are not aware, you'll come back to me. Can you maybe respond even to that question in October? I've asked you that, are you aware that members of the board of Sascoc are implicated, they have conflict of interest, members of Sascoc, and you said you are not aware, you'll come back to us. Has the new MOU, which was amended, presented to Sascoc to date for adoption and approval? Can we get any implementation plan if it's not yet done? What will happen? Has Sascoc accepted the change? Because we see on the media, they were not accepting the changes. There was issues between the minister and Sascoc.
Honorable Mhlongo, try to round up on that.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to ask last two questions. I respect you, but I must be given more information to, because I was writing my own notes. There's no presentation, but I'll wrap up, Chair. Was CSA members council done this amendment on the 27th or the date? Because I did not note that, under duress, or was it voluntary? Were you under gunfire, or was it voluntary? I wanted to ask the last comment, especially regarding the directors, 15 directors, because we don't have that. Chair, maybe in future, all these documents they spoke about, let's have them, and then I'll have follow-up question, because I really wanted to find out, is there a legislation process that stipulates how the MOU should be adopted? Is there any legislation process? Why is the interim board and the minister not adhering to the process? Who are unable there? Is it interim board going to leave office as of the 14th of May? Thank you, Chair. I respect you, but I'll have follow-up questions and other questions. Ngiyabonga, ma'am.
Thank you, Honorable Mhlongo. It's Honorable Mahlingozi. Yes, Honorable Mahlingozi.
Thank you, Chair. I would get I would love to thank the minister and everyone about with the presentation. Chair, first of all, I want to find out of the position of Sascoc in this debacle, based on the media statement that they have released, and also I would like to ask the minister if the invoke has been withdrawn, and if it has, why? Because we haven't the MOI and what it entails basically, but through the back and forth information that we are reading, we know that there are disputes about it. And if the minister has withdrawn the invoke, is it for the good of the office, or is it for bowing down to the unrepenting members council, who's hell-bent into blocking meaningful changes in this cricket, as if it is their fiefdom? Or is it because of actually what would be the real reason for the minister to back down on it? And I want to ask the Cricket South Africa, actually, what happened to the black cricket players who were and are still victims of this members' council's actions? And also, I don't believe that members' council believe that cricket is bigger than them. They forget that they need to respect South Africa because they cannot play outside South Africa, and as why can they be cut out from the financial assistance from our government? And of course, and why did the members' council and all the Sascoc people decided to accede to what they were supposed to have done a long time ago by agreeing on the 28th of this month? And what are the hidden plans of the members' council? Chair, I will stop there from now. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mashingosi. Honorable Mamabulo.
I'm also happy that the matter has been put to rest, because you remember I was told you, the minister, that I only worry about what to call the players on the field. I mean, this issue of administrators fighting, blah, blah, and so on. It's what we also told SAFA the other time, that, guys, we don't want you to fight because we are worried about the development of sports in the country. But I'm happy because I was worried last week when I saw this thing on the media and the letter from Sascoc and so on. I was a bit worried. I'm happy now that, because we'll then focus on sport itself. Because Mr. Hendricks, I think we are going for the Olympics later this year. We must be able to prepare teams that can be competitive so that we can put our country on the map. So, Minister, I'm happy that the issue of Cricket SA is resolved. Also, the guys from Cricket SA, we really need this issue of transformation, because some of us, when we were growing up, we used to play for Baker's Mini League and so on. And nowadays, we no longer see them. And the kids are all over the streets. They're engaged on the Nyaupe programs, the drugs, and so on. And we're worried because we want sports to remove these kids from the streets. So, basically, Chairperson, I'm happy because I was fuming. I wanted to lambast the three structures here, but I'm happy that they managed to resolve the matter amicably. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Honorable Dennis.
Thank you, Chairperson. I didn't know it was my turn. Sorry. Thank you. sorry, Chair. Sorry, members and all colleagues. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you for the presentation. I just want to make one or two comments and then I want to ask a question. I think in the minister's summary, one can actually hear when the minister speaks that it appears the minister had enough and he need to conclude on this processes. But I think what the minister was saying to us when Sascoc handed the matter back to the minister, I think that was an indication that, and I must say to Sascoc, it was not a good story. It was an indication that Sascoc were not able to handle a situation at a level where they must handle it on behalf of South Africa. I want to note that the Nicholson report, I'm new on the committee, I just started January, so I would like to read the Nicholson's report and see if all stakeholders have followed that Nicholson's report, what is in there. And then, Chairperson, I would like to say to Sascoc, this to Mr. Hendricks, that Sascoc has actually let South Africa and cricket South Africa down. For me, if I read all these documents, it's not about cricket South Africa. They obviously had to follow the constitution, but now everybody, I assume, will have to change constitutions to follow the new path that this country is going to follow. And then, of course, the Fandusi report. I appreciate Mr. Richards saying that report is there, and I'm sure that report will be followed through. An important point that was made. Sports will always be bigger than the individuals.
Honorable Mama Bulo.
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward, Chair, to the 9-point mandate that we're looking for, that we're hoping for. And I want also just in closing to say to the minister, we must respect what the minister's position and role is, but we have a situation in a democratic South Africa, and many departments, ministers have been taken to court, and that's why I just want to re-emphasize that the Nicholson's report, that what the minister present is exactly what the Nicholson's report asks, or if it was not, then the minister had the right to come with new recommendations or views of the minister and the department. That is not rejected. But if one quote a report, then it must be what the report is saying. So, Chair, we're looking forward, I think, this committee to make sure that South Africa goes forward from here, and that the differences that are still there be resolved in the interest of South Africa. Thank you, Chairperson, but I think we were not happy up till today, but we have a better understanding what's going on. But democracy must win. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dennis. Thank you so much for your contribution. Honorable Sibisi.
Thank you, Chairperson, and greeting to the Honorable Minister and the members of the Portfolio Committee and Sascoc. Firstly, I would like to thank the Minister for being patient and try to solve this issue, because we've been so worried about what has been happening. But I would also like to urge Cricket South Africa and Sascoc that sometimes they need not to be bigger than the sport community or the sport society, because we're not supposed to arrive or to come to this situation. Commission's reports have been there, Nicholson's reports have been there. Why were they so reluctant not to implement? And again, Sascoc as a federation, you are a mother body to all these sporting codes. You were supposed from the beginning to support what the minister has been saying and to implement what is best for the country. I mean, truly speaking, cricket, you need to transform. Sascoc also, you need to care about the people of South Africa. The sport is not about individuals, it's about all the South Africans people. And please, we are happy now that the problem or the issue has been solved amicably, and we think that going forward in future, we are not going to experience and to foresee these kinds of the situation. Thank you, Minister, for being there. Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Sibisi. Honorable Siabe.
Thank you, Chair. You forgot Honorable Van Dijk. Thanks, Chairperson, for the opportunity.
Please give her a chance. Honorable Van Dijk, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, Chairperson, I'm covered. Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. I'm covered.
Oh, are you? Please, okay. Thank you, Honorable Van Dijk.
Thank you.
Honorable Sibisi.
Thanks very much, Chair. Because she's a woman, she must not feel oppressed.
Yes.
Thanks very much for the opportunity, and greetings to the Minister, delegation from Sascoc, and delegation from Cricket South Africa, not forgetting the delegation from the department led by the DG. Firstly, Chair, I want to commend the Minister for his steadfastness. When I say his steadfastness, I mean he was dutifully firm and unwavering, because there are other issues that we can't compromise. The issue of transformation cannot be compromised. And it is why the government of the day is here to make sure that we fast-track transformation. It is 9 years since the Nicholson report was presented, which means we have postponed the issue of transformation by 9 years. Players and former players have been crying, but today, with this agreement, as it was reported to us, with what the Minister has done, there is hope that there will be transformation, and we'll then talk about sports. My question, Chair, I heard that Sascoc is still going to have a meeting on the 8th to review the MOI. At the same time, I heard that today there will be a media conference to present the agreement, which is in the main, the MOI. Now, what is the implication of this? If Sascoc does not agree with certain process, what will be the implication? Or is that meeting just academic? Secondly, why has Sascoc withdrawn from the process in the beginning? It was reported that Sascoc was part of the process, but later they withdrew. Why has that happened? What does Sascoc mean when they say in their media statement that the minister has overstepped his mandate? What do they mean by that? If you allow me, Chair, to continue, just 3 questions more. What is the status of all labor disputes and court challenges that are before Cricket South Africa? The last 2, can we have the details of the new governance structure, which will be presented to the public today, and its mandate? My last question for now, what are we going to do? Because this to and fro, this pulling and pushing has come with a reputational damage to Cricket South Africa. What is the thinking? How are we going to correct that so that we are also we go back to our standing as a respected country when it comes to cricket. I think we were amongst the top 3, if not the top 5 as a country. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Siabe. Let me have a small Lanyana stake to take. I'm taking this opportunity to thank everyone who's in this meeting today. This is a history again, because on the 13th of October 2020, as this fully fledged committee, we gave task to each of people who have just presented to us, the department, the Sascoc, the Cricket South Africa. Especially to you, Sascoc, we have said, go and assist, go and be part of this, in order that we must see transformation happening. We must see the cricket young ones from rural, poor, from everywhere, that whom they are loving sport person in the cricket. But since 13 October 2020, 14 October, you know what happened. Cricket South Africa. 23rd October, you know what happened. 25th October, you know, all those days, 25 November, I couldn't sleep. I was following each and everything, even if our department were not having time to brief us daily, because the problem was daily since 2020 on the 13th of October. What we were thinking that you are going to resolve in amicable, it was not until today. Today, the date which maybe some of us were appreciating whatever we have been doing, taking pillar to post, the players, maybe they were not even aware whether they're going to play any longer, because when we are a player and then your council, your executive is fighting among themselves, you can even not to perform accordingly, let alone that Sascoc, now whom were trusted that he must do ABC, is that this Sascoc that we have seen your statements with the leader of the Sascoc, and we're wondering, is this Sascoc that we were saying that as this committee, we didn't want to go to your AGM because we were not happy at all about whatever we wanted, but we were saying, go there, but Sascoc, cricket, we must work together. To you, Minister, and your staff, we'll be seeing every day that you are on the air. Today, you agreed with the Cricket South Africa, come Sascoc, disputing, not agreeing. But what happened, if happened yesterday or Friday, or this day that you said at in the morning until in the mid-evening, we do appreciate workers there. We're seeing them talking in the media. They were thinking about their plight. This is the time of COVID-19. This is the time that we're supposed to look after each other. No jobs not be retained, but minister's role that he decided to be saying that if you don't do ABC, I'm going to do, maybe it was not even easy to himself to take that decision, but if you don't want to be a one body in order that we must see everything happening. This day that you all agreed, we are hoping that a special Sascoc, you must not come back and go to cricket and try to influence otherwise. I'm not saying you're going to do that, but your statements I'm not happy, as if we are not yet finished about this thing. You have been put there to look after each and every sector which we are supposed to look at, but in between, your behavior is not yet right, but we are still going to call you as Sascoc in our own meeting. Maybe you will tell us what is the problem. Thank you to all the stakeholders. Thank you for the workers that now they are going to see the light from the tunnel, but hoping that this thing will remain like this. Transformation, we cannot. You know, when we are giving back this committee to the next committee members, they must get all the federations, all the people who put to this committee, to the department about the transformation, that at least you must meet those targets that we have put. I'm happy, but also people of South Africa have been some, they wanted to ask some of us what is going on. So we don't respond if we don't have information. Until now, we did get this information. Everybody, I'm aware it's live. They are seeing what was going on. And as now as a committee, we are happy. I'm giving this opportunity to all
Sure.
who...
Point of order, Chair, not as a committee. Point of order, Chair, not as a committee. Point of order.
What as a committee to do what? What are you saying, Honorable Mhlong?
You said as a committee we are happy. I'm not part of that. I'm not happy, Chair.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Let me talk about myself and those who have said they are happy. Some of the members of committee, they are happy, as you heard when they are saying. I'm also amongst those who are saying, I'm happy that you have come to this stage with these amicable solutions, hoping that they are not going to be reversed. I noted you, Honorable Mhlongo. Thank you. Let me take this opportunity to give to the presenters to answer the questions. I thank you so much.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. You did not recognize Mr. Zondi.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say. Mr. Zondi, my apologies, sir. My apology.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Okay.
You wanted to see us the same Thanks. Chair, thank you for the opportunity. I had few questions, Honorable Chair, but Honorable Siabi took almost all of them. There were three questions I wanted to ask. The first one was with regard to the MOI what entails the MOI. It's not in this, but in the presentation, I'm clear now. The second one was the issue of Sascoc, as Honorable Siabi asked the question. I also want to know why the Sascoc, withdrew from the process. But the third one was the implementation process. I think they outline it clearly. I'm looking forward to the 12th of June, where the final stage has been reached, to see the full structure and also the task to the structure. Chair, you were right. I want to be direct to the Honorable Minister lastly. We have lost a patient, Honorable Minister, during the time of Minister Balfour. To you, we don't have patients. We lost patients. People has a choice to choose or to vote either for the status quo or transformational agenda. And they choose transformational agenda. So whatever decision that you are taking with regard to transformation, the citizens of South Africa are behind you. I'm amongst those. But if the chosen few do not want to follow on the transformational agenda, it's their story. But the people of South Africa are behind you because we have lost patience of waiting. I thought you would just bully everyone when you took this decision. But clearly, all the processes, I've listened you when you outline the processes you followed, and also the presentation on MOU implementation process. But we thank you for this decision, and we are fully behind you. Not only the cabinet that you are serving or your political party, but I want to concur with Honorable Chair that even the committee and the people of South Africa behind, we want transformation, and not yesterday. We want transformation now. And if you take these decisions that are decisive on transformational agenda, and we will fully support you. We won't ask questions until sunset. We will fully behind you because we know the act that you followed when you take this decision. And we are here to tell you that we are fully behind you, and we thank you for this decision, which is long overdue. You have been so patient with these structures, and this one in particular. I wonder why they took so long to concur with the MOI. But finally, because they have followed, they've agreed that they will follow the decision of the report of the MOI. We're really grateful for that decision. But don't doubt the South Africans, and don't doubt the committee. If there are members that have concern, well, we want all agreed on one thing, but I think this one will assist South Africa, and the children of South Africa will benefit because it's a progressive decision. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members, responses that we must, but I can't control that. We must show our faces when we're speaking, but people, they've forgotten that who are not from different areas, sometimes the network can make that person not to speak. So I do understand Zoe, but members first and foremost, and the visitors, they do show themselves, and then when they are speaking, in order that they must not be disturbed by network, they just put off their videos. So these people who wanted us to be always in the screen, it cannot happen with some of people. I thank you. Honorable members, I'm suspecting that now there's no one that I left behind. So I wanted that now is the time for responses from the presenters. I thank you. Our Department of Sports and Culture.
Maybe, Chair, because the number of questions and some directed to myself, I would suggest that the Members' Council and the interim board and Sascoc to take those which are related to them, and then I'll come thereafter. As I apologize, after that, the Chair, I would go ahead to prepare for this historic announcement to the nation.
Yes, but I was starting with you, Minister, because I was worried that when that time comes, maybe they will not yet finish to answer. But
I'll wait for them. I'll wait for them, Chair.
Okay. Can Sascoc take the platform? After Sascoc, the Cricket South Africa taking the platform in that order, and at the end, it's our minister. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairperson. I don't mind speaking before others. There are several questions raised towards Sascoc, and I'd gladly answer them. The first question by the Honourable Mahlongo: is there a dispute, or was there ever a dispute between Sascoc and Cricket South Africa? The answer is no. And if any of my members, Honourable Chair, feel that, or board members feel that I'm missing out one of the points, they can please, if you will indulge them, to please come in. Did the Nicholson report recommend that an independent chairperson be instituted? Honourable Mhlongo, again, no. Is this setting a precedence for other federations? Yes, not only for other federations, but if this process continues, it would then almost assume that it would be forced upon the provinces. If what this recommendation is saying, that sports structures must consist of a majority of independents, it has huge ramifications in terms of precedence. But I'll speak on that later. Did the minister consult with Sascoc? Sascoc wrote letters to the minister requesting a meeting when we reached the stage of the MOI. As I stated earlier, the minister indicated that he will meet with us as and when he deems fit. And that was the position that we were in. We wanted to consult, we wanted to engage, and we wanted to prevent the matters as they unfolded over the past week. And it's a pity that we were not given that opportunity to do so, of that process of engagement, constructive engagement. What is the position of Sascoc? Sascoc's position is very clear in terms of a position of a democratic elective process for all its members, and for its members to proceed to elect its leaders, as we do with our national government, and to allow those members, without being coerced or pressurized or forced with legislation, with the implementation of legislation, to allow those members to do their duty to vote in a transparent and democratic manner. The Nicholson report in 2013 did recommend that the majority of board members be independents. But Sascoc, through its process of constructive engagement with the then minister and the department, as well as the department's legal team in 2012-2013, came to the conclusion that sport remains a democratic process and independent people could not be thrust on the organization, sports organizations. Minister Mbalula agreed with that process then, and that is why the current makeup of the Cricket South Africa board is without the majority independent representation. This remained Sascoc's position even when we had the Zulman recommendations with the Zulman committee, where the Zulman committee recommended, one of its recommendations was that the president of Sascoc be an independent person. The Sascoc board was able to sit down with Minister Kasa and the department and the DG then, Mr. Alec Mohemi, to come to the same agreement that sports leaders must be elected, not independents thrust upon sports structures. And Minister Kasa agreed to that principle and that understanding. CSA at our last meeting indicated that the minister pressurized them to sign the MOI. Now, then the minister threatened to invoke Section 13. Section 13 states very specifically that the minister cannot get involved or interfere in the election of sports administrators. By insisting and demanding and then threatening to invoke Section 13, the minister was in conflict, direct conflict with that act and that clause of the act, because that threat was to say, if you do not change your constitution, to change your elective process of administrators, then we will invoke Section 13. And Sascoc stands by this position that the elective process must be a democratic elective process by sports people. This does not mean that Sascoc is not of the opinion that independent specialists are required. We agreed with the Zulman committee report that we put in 2 independent specialists to assist us in our decision making. And we do have 2 women, 2 young black women in the field of legal and in the field of finance, who are assisting us in our deliberations. And Sascoc, in fact, at our last AGM, transformed itself in a major way. We now have more women serving on the Sascoc board than men. And in terms of our demographics, we are quite sound in terms of black representation versus white representation. So Sascoc itself is committed to transform itself, and we're committed to transforming our members as well. But the program of transformation is at this stage housed within the Department of Sport, with the EPG program monitoring that particular process. On the 8th of May, the members will take a decision around the MOI. And as I said, we've put together a task team of board members who are going to prepare a position statement in this regard. And I'm sure the members will deliberate thoroughly on the implications of the precedent that could be set with such a MOI. Sascoc did not withdraw from the process of the MOI. Sascoc wrote to the minister last year stating that because of the lack of resources with the previous board, Sascoc was in financial difficulty, and that we foresaw that Cricket South Africa at the time would probably take us to court, and Sascoc could not afford to spend money on legal processes again. And it is for that reason that we asked the minister to assist. We did not renege on our duties. It was simply the position that we found ourselves in. Now with the new phase, with the Fundunzi report being done away and with the new MOI coming in, Sascoc then engaged with the minister by writing a letter to ask him to meet to discuss these particular matters. Unfortunately, we were not able to meet. Sascoc has got a leadership role, chairperson, we understand that. And sometimes people might not like when the position that we take, but we take the position in the interest of democracy, openness and transparency, as well as to protect the environment of sport from undue and unnecessary influence. We appreciate totally the role of government in setting out our constitution of the country, which guides us. But Sascoc also has its own constitution to follow. And if it does not follow that, it will have implications of Sascoc's participation in other events, such as the Olympics, Paralympics, and others. So we will follow our constitution as per the recommendations of the Zulman committee. So Chairperson, I hope I've covered all the questions that were put to Sascoc. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, President. May I give it to Mr. Stratford from Cricket South Africa?
Yes, Honourable Chair of the committee and honourable members. There's a number of questions that have been asked. I've clustered the questions. So I'm not going to particularly referencing because some of the questions were intertwined. I'm going to address 5 of the clusters and respond accordingly. I'll also invite my colleague from the Members' Council, the acting president of the MC, Mr. Richards. I'll invite him to provide any additional or complementary response. Firstly, there was a question asked about the process that was followed to the amendment of the Memorandum of Incorporation. Let me, Honourable Member, reinforce again the process that was followed. The process that was followed is what is called a Section 60 process. This is Section 60 of the Companies Act as amended. Section 60 enables and allows a round-robin resolution for a special resolution to be passed, and the process was followed accordingly in line with what is Section 60 of the Act. And as I indicated, the culmination of that is a round-robin resolution voting system, and that was unanimously adopted. So that adopted the Memorandum of Incorporation as amended. There was a question about, and I'm not taking the sort of the cluster questions in any particular order, but as they came up, there was a question about how do we mitigate the reputational damage that has been done. Indeed, cricket has been subject to reputational damage for many, many years. And the best and simplest way to restore reputation is quite simply by ensuring that you have governance that is of an appropriate and suitable and acceptable global and domestic standard. And that is what we sought out to do. So Today's announcement is a historic one because people are looking for a sustainable governance framework moving forward. And when you supply that in itself starts instilling confidence. It starts restoring the reputation of cricket when that happens. The question around Memorandum of Incorporation and when will we share that, I think the acting CEO of Cricket South Africa is on this call, I believe. He can share that immediately with the Secretariat and it can be further distributed to the rest of the members. And then finally, I wanted to, there's a broad thematic around openness, transparency, and accountability. It is widely accepted throughout our entire country that you need independent majority boards. That is beyond disputed. It is governance 101. There's no person that can say in the country, well, we don't know that an independent majority board is good governance. It is what is required. It is what we replicate throughout the structures. So Nicholson was, as I said, the skeleton. We had to add the flesh onto the skeleton. And let me be clear on this, honourable members. Our mandate from the minister as an interim board was implement Nicholson and restore governance. Restoring governance means that you have to rise to the appropriate international and domestic requirements, expectations, and needs of governance. And that is exactly what we've done as an interim board. We've agreed this with the Members' Council, and any governance expert anywhere in the world will tell you, you need an independent majority board and you need an independent chairperson. We're really hopeful that there's not anyone here that is disputing that independence is what removes conflicts of interest or mitigates them significantly and enables a much more appropriate governance framework. And it is according to that mandate that we received that we moved ahead to arrive at the point that we have arrived right now. I think just lastly, Honourable Mahlongo, on the Sascoc matter, let me be clear on what the mandate again was of the board. The board was to deliver.
As a point of exigency, Chair.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm Mr. Mhlongo, not Masango. Mhlongo.
Yeah, Mr. Tepam Mhlongo. That's it.
Yes.
Mhlongo.
Okay.
Yes. Honorable Mhlongo. Yes,
Okay.
Honorable.
Apologies, Honourable.
That was the pronoun. He was calling me Masango.
Okay.
Mhlongo.
Okay.
Point taken, Honorable Mhlongo.
Okay, let me continue, Chair, thanks. So I was just saying that the mandate given to the board was to deliver on Nicholson recommendations and also restoration of governance. Sascoc did participate initially in a 3-a-side process that we had set up. It was 3 from the Members' Council, 3 from Sascoc, and 3 from the interim board. On the 9th of February, we received correspondence via the Members' Council from Sascoc indicating that they were withdrawing from the process, from this 3-a-side. Of course, this 3-a-side set the platform for the final Memorandum of Incorporation that, as you've now heard, was adopted by round-robin resolution. So I just wish to clarify what our mandate was, and secondly, that there was a role initially with Sascoc. Sascoc, by their own correspondence, pulled out and asked us to proceed as Members' Council and Interim Board with the process to completion, which is, of course, what we've now done. I'll submit those points in response. Thank you, Honourable Chair.
Any additions, Honorable Richards?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. There was a question posed directly if this matter was done under duress. We must understand that as a members' council, we are very mindful of all the matters that we have to attend to. And by the very definition of what is duress is the question. And I can equivocally say that we were under so much pressure, but the most overriding pressure that we have to understand is that we have to do what is right for the game. I've categorically stated this from day one, that, and I've again said it this morning, that the action of the minister, even to the appointment of the interim board, was never done in terms of any section of the act. It was actually done by consensus. And the document that has now been arrived at is by consensus between the interim board and the members' council. There was an allusion to what is the status of and the position of the ICC on this matter. I can categorically state that we've always, Minister had written to the ICC, explaining his position, and I've been in constant contact with the ICC. And you will mark that there was even a statement by the ICC that until the members' council raises things, they will not get involved. Because our stance as a members' council was always that this is a South African matter and a cricket South African matter between us and government, and that we wish to deal with it as such. And this does not affect our status within the ICC as a body. So that must be clearly known. We've always, and we've stated this categorically at the ICC as both as a sporting federation with Cricket South Africa, we enjoy a healthy relationship with our government, which cannot be undermined through these processes. So that is my response to that, Honourable Chair.
Thank you to all who responded. And now I can give it to you, Minister.
Can I come in before Minister, Honorable Chairperson?
Oh, okay, DG. Yes, DG.
Yes. Maybe Honorable Chairperson, taking from what...
Sorry, Chair. Chairperson.
Honorable Makaul. Yes, Honorable.
Ade ngihlushwa network la ngikhona. Before Minister angene ngicela ukuthi thanks.
Yebo, ma'am.
Uyangizwa?
Ngiyakuzwa, Mama Makaul.
Okay. Ukube ngicela ukuthi before Minister angene ngicela ungene ngezwe sebephendula imibuzo but mina ade ngithi ngiyazama la ngikhona bengalungi.
Okay, Mama. Ungakuveze nje isithombe sakho. Asivelanga. Usiveze nje kayi-1 uphinde usikhiphe. Mama Kaul, isakuhlupha network. Oh madoda. Mama Kaul. Oh yeah. If network izokuhlupha ke uma uhlunjalo ungakhuluma uma ubona ukuthi yakuhlupha network uphinde uyicishe ukhulume sizokulalela.
Okay, thanks.
Yebo, mama. Yebo, Mama Kaul.
Oh, thank you, Chairperson. Ngixolisa kade singasagcinana. Ngiphinde Nkosi yami ngikhalise laba athe basishiya. Ngithi dudu kubona nakubundlunkulu yethu esithe yakhothama. Konke ke sikubeka kuNkulunkulu nama-colleague ethu nabo bonke abasifile ngale mizuzu. Ngiyaxolisa Nkosi yami. No, la Chairperson ebengithi ngifuna ungena khona nje straight. Lana kunesikhalazo Chairperson sabaqulu. Lana okutholakala ukuthi kunalo 300 million owaphumayo kwakufanele uye kubaculi. Ngangokuthi lana kuvela amagama angahlangani nalezi nkampani kunalaba bantu abangaphansi kwale nkampani. Manje ngangokuthi baney'nkinga zokuthi bayaxoshwa, bayahlukunyezwa manje bafuna ukhishwa ngendlela ema-ofisini abo ngenxa yemali.
Mama, naba besithi bafuna
ngixolisa ukuyifaka ngemboba, ngikuzwa ukuthi uthini.
Ya, ngiyabona ukuthi bafuna ukusho ukuthi uyifaka ngembobo. Ziyakhala i-members zakho ze-committee zithi order, there are two of them. Masilalele ukuthi bathina ume kancane. Honorable Mhlongo, Honorable, who's the other one? Mahlikosi. Uyabonakala ukuthi oh, nguZondi. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Chairperson, bengithi uMamkhawula abheke i-agenda yanamhlanje ngokuzithoba sikhulumi ngama-artists namhlanje siphethe le nkinga ye-Cricket South Africa no-Minister ne-Sascoc. Bengithi nje i-order Mamkhawula.
Tatu Zondi.
Bengisho njalo nami sihlalo ukuthi hayi sine agenda namhlanje engakhulumi ngama-artists ekhuluma nge-Cricket South Africa.
Ningisizile ngoba bengifuna sometimes ke no chairperson akangakhuzi ngoba uma ngikhuza niyazi ukuthi ngaphansi ngashaya kwenye indawo kwathi ukhuza uyeke. Mama Makhawula siyaxolisa mama, namhlanje sithetha ngale micimbi ka-cricket no Sascoc no Minister ulana. Lo mcimbi ukhuluma ngawe sesawuqeda sesizawuphinde siwuxoxe kakuhle nje. Sasiphumile sahamba sabuya, uma sesibuyile sabuya i-report yakhona indindene ngoku seyifanele uba siphinde singene apha ngaphakathi eParliament siyixoxe sisho ukuthi sitholeni. Siyaxolisa ke mama. Uyazi mama Makhawula? Mama Makhawula uzwile ke
ngisho lathi ngiyifaka ngewindi
kuthiwa yikhiphe ingabe isafakeka
because nami ngine
mayiphume ke mama ngewindi kwakhona. Mayiphume ngewindi. Siyabonga mama, siyabonga. I was about to give the platform to DG.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Members, Minister, and my colleagues from the cricket as well as Sascoc. Maybe I must start by saying after what was outlined by the Chairperson or Doctor of the IB Independent Board, as well as what Mr. Hendrik had said, can I just affirm again that ministers' intervention have always been guided by legislation. I think this myth must just be discredited as of what it deserves. At all times, there has been very clear guidance on legislation and what the Sport and Recreation Act says, what are the powers of the minister. And I think the deliberate selective attempt by the president of Sascoc to ignore Section 13, which goes step by step on what is a dispute resolution mechanism when the federations are facing these challenges, is disingenuous. I'm saying that because if you look at the whole Section 13, from Section 13.1b, Section 13.2, in fact, Section 13.2, Honorable Chairperson, says 2A, subsection 2A, provides that where a dispute cannot be resolved by a sports body, in terms of Section 13.1A and B, the dispute must be resolved by the Sports Confederation, which is Sascoc. And as was highlighted, and as he has acknowledged,
Point of order, please, Chair. Point of order.
the matter brought to his attention.
Point of order, Chair.
As Sascoc.
Who's calling the point of order?
Barry Hendricks.
Can, with due respect, if you want to respond after all who responded in your contribution, I will give it to you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd appreciate it.
We're looking at the time. So I'm suspecting even other members in their questions and responses, maybe they will do a follow-up. But when we interjecting whilst somebody is responding, let's just hold that. I'll give the chance to anyone who wanted to respond on whatever responses from other or to any other person, which is not the presenter, which is not yourself. With
Thank
that,
you,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, the President.
Thank you. Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. After that, subsequent subsection says 13.2b, Sascoc must notify the minister. Then section 13.5a indicates that the minister may intervene should Sascoc fail to resolve the matter. By his own admission, is that they referred the matter to the minister, albeit the rationale given is that it was financial constraint on legal threat they were facing. However, does that change the fact that they then asked the minister to intervene? Irrespective of whether it was financial constraint or what, but did Sascoc ask minister to intervene? And that is what they did. And minister, guided by legislation, had to then look at what means of interventions can be made. And Honorable Chairperson, if you follow the sequence of events, it is clear that even at that time, there was no threat to use the section 13.5 because minister used all mechanisms of engagement. Only when engagement was not yielding the results did we even find ourselves at a level where we were yesterday about the Gazette. There was a process. The second point, Chairperson, is the issue of whether there was duress or not duress, and whether, as referred to about the issue of independence recommendations also by Zulman. Honorable Chairperson, I need to indicate that when all those attempts and referred to agreements with the previous ministers, as they are being raised here, if they had intended outcome or consequence, we would not be here. We won't have this session. Things did not change. In cricket, we still faced the same challenges as they were in 2013, if not aggravated. Ministers' intervention was informed by a number of representations. Among them, concerns about the number of turnover of senior leadership in cricket, threat and withdrawals, actual withdrawals by key sponsors who had been supporting cricket for years. So with the status quo as it was clear that the results were not coming as maybe if there was those agreements with the ministers referred to had not yielded those results. You can't keep a status quo that does not change things for the desired outcome. And he knows that there were problems. Finally, Chairperson, to say that they were not party to the process is incorrect. As has been indicated, the three-year site was established. And it was a choice they made to withdraw. Not that they were not party to the process. That would be misleading South Africans here who might be watching and listening to us. They withdrew, as has been referred in writing, as stated by the chairperson of the interim board. So to try now, which is quite concerning, is to assume that this is a subversion of democracy. And that is an incorrect statement, Chairperson. This does not replace the role of sports personalities and leadership. It brings about dealing, among other things, with throwing a javelin and run to capture it the other side. You make your own recommendations, you ratify them the other side. Because there is no independent, powerful voice to rectify or ratify what is being done. And those were some of the challenges where we were making decision-making processes within cricket. So I think, Chair, I would end there for now, and thanks very much.
Thank you, Honorable DG, Honorable Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much to members of the Portfolio Committee with their contributions. Perhaps let me start with Cricket South Africa. Both what Dr. Nicolau has said together with Mr. Richards. You can see here, Chair, that we are dealing with people who have been engaged practically on a matter which had to be resolved. And their engagement in the final analysis has paid off for South Africa. And the sport in South Africa will never be the same from their engagement, because what they have done, for instance, they speak in one voice, a voice for progress. If you listen to what Hendricks, the president of Sascoc, is saying, he's speaking in a different direction altogether, because they have not been engaged and involved. They don't know what has been happening. They were part of the three-year side. They decided to pull out and then wanted to meet the minister. And my approach was that the matters are being dealt with there from the sporting point of view. So go back there. And the stance I was taking is that you can't have two parallel processes on the same issue. So it's for members' take here that here is Sascoc. You see what they are saying against a progressive move from Africa. Now, Chair, and we're noting them all step of the way, whatever they're doing, but it's not helping cricket. What is helping cricket is what the MC and the IB has agreed to. I have the points made by Honorable Zondi, I think he summed it up. Put aside sugar coating. People are going to come up with a lot of sugar coating. Zondi summed up what we're dealing with here. Leave the status quo, don't touch it, and say all sorts of things about many other things of sport run by sport people and so on, which cricket has been run to the ground by the sport people, and that is not taken into account. But Zondi sums up this thing, Honorable Zondi sums up that it's either the status quo, leave it as is, leave it to sport people even if they're messing things up, or transform. So that's what we've been dealing with. And thanks again for supporting transformation, because in the final analysis, both in the field of play and in the administration of sport, we have to see transformation, and transformation will happen in sport generally. And we are correct. We have tried, we've been patient with the process. It's that patience which has been misunderstood as a sign of weakness, which people make mistakes all the time. So thanks for that, Honorable Member. Chair, you are correct. Your point, your observation that the Sascoc pulled out, you are correct. They pulled out. I heard the president of Sascoc saying that they didn't. They pulled out in the middle of the process of the very same MOI I'm talking about, the 3-a-side. They pulled out. And the process couldn't wait for them. The process continued, Chair, as it will continue, even going forward with all other challenges, because our society has to transform. Now, the materialist conception of history teaches us that everything is in a constant motion of change. Everything is subject to change, except change itself, which will always be there. And we know that when change happens, it's not, sometimes it's difficult, sometimes people feel pain in their comfortable zones they've been. But this is a correct characterization of what is happening currently. I hear the story about believing in democratic processes and so on. The Nationalist Party, which misruled this country, did the same thing, that in their majority, they thought that they are democratic. Until structures are democratic, there's no democracy which is going to come out of untransformed structures. So the pressure which the president of Sascoc is referring to, that he was told by members of Cricket South Africa that they were pressurized by the minister. I think from Cricket South Africa, here in this meeting, the acting president of the Members' Council has made a point that they understood that the pressure which is referred to is pressure to do good for sport and for the country. Now, I can't add anything from what the acting president of the Members' Council has said on the matter, because he has covered quite clearly. You can't tolerate something which is against transformation. Siabe, Honorable Member Siabe, I agree with you that this thing is not about government. This success, this victory is not about government, but it's victory. It's victory for the people of South Africa. It's victory, as we are saying, Honorable Sia, for the players and former players, that at the end of the day, we listen to these people, we meet with them, we hear their cries, and we have to respond. We can't sit unmoved in what they are saying. Honorable Sbisi, thank you very much for your kind words on what is happening and your understanding also what's happening at Sascoc. I can agree more with you on that. Denise, you are so correct. There came a time when we were running out of patience. Out of patience by seeing that we are being managed here, but people want the status quo to continue. Anybody who's committed to the status quo must know that they have a challenge on their hand, because status quo is not going to be allowed to continue. Within the law, status quo is going to be challenged so that the sport becomes the winner at the end of the day. You see, cricket, and cricket South Africa in particular, has its peers. Whether you're talking England or New Zealand or Australia, they are following the same model, because it's the good model for good governance, of having the majority of independence, not just some sprinkle of independence here and there, the majority of independence. And they are following that. So we, Honorable Member, emphasized, in line with your point, emphasized that the Fundutsi report should be circulated and be given to the public. Cricket South Africa, which wanted to hide that report. As we speak, it's in the public knowledge now, and I would urge Cricket South Africa here to ensure that the members do have this Fundutsi report. And by the way, Honorable Denise, the interim board implementing that, effecting what came out of the Fundutsi report. And it's in the midst of that implementation. So thanks for your contribution, Honorable Member. Honorable Mamabulo, yes, transformation had to win, and I'm glad that we are raising the point that there are children out there who want to see themselves something at a particular stage in cricket and so on. So this is a move towards the right direction. My favorite questions were from Honorable Madlingozi. I liked his questions. One asking whether I was bowing to pressure to withdraw the invoking of the Act and the Government Gazette, and the point which was raised also by other members of black players in cricket suffering and still raising their views and so on. Yes, Honorable Madlingos, you touched on the nub of the issue. The nub of the issue is transformation, and those majority black cricket players, mostly ex-players, raise these things in many times when they have left cricket stage to implement and do my job. I'll do my job. Some of it, you are going to find it in the media, of course. Much as I find some of the things you do as Parliament in the media. We have a mandate from the manifesto of the governing party, and we are implementing that mandate. We will, as a courtesy, from time to time, inform you, in other instances, talk to you on things, if time is there, which have not happened. But if time is not there and things have to be done, we will do things which are supposed to be done. Because from another state arm, it would be an anomaly to expect, or we as executive, to expect that either the judiciary or Parliament, before doing any other thing, will then come to us. Unfortunately, some of the things you are going to find them having been done, and will come back and actually respond. On the independence of the independence in the board, I think both the acting president of Cricket South Africa, Members Council, Mr. Richards, and Dr. Nicolau from the interim board have actually covered that matter. Well, why I ignore other ministers, former ministers? No, you see those ministers are part and parcel of the governing party or movement. And in the true style of how we work in this party is that we give people time to internalize things. Even if it means sometimes it's years, we do that. So they did that. Minister Mbalula was hoping, because he knows that we want to see transformation in this country, was hoping that the sense at some point will prevail from sporting bodies like Cricket South Africa and so on. So was Minister Xhasa. So as we said, both of them and I walk from this path of the materialist conception of history. The fact that nothing is static, everything is subject to change. And therefore, they were giving that a chance. Remember that it's those ministers, it's under their leadership that today, especially Minister Mbalula, that today we're talking of Nicholson report. We spend millions in that report as government. So we would want to ensure that maximum, benefit is derived out of that. Honorable Mhlongo, transformation is going to be affecting not one, not two section of sport, but it's going to affect the whole sport. Remember that we've been talking from the point of view of the governing party. We've been talking transformation since 1994. So it will get to everywhere. On sport, we'll ensure that that happens. Well, yes, Honorable Mhlongo, I did follow all the processes. I did, and I explained, Honorable Mhlongo, I explained to the sporting bodies that it is not our intention. Long before we had to intervene. It's not our intention to intervene. You guys deal with this thing. So we followed all the process. And as correctly as acting president of the Members' Council said, that we've always been seeking a consensus. He will tell you that even with the special general meeting, which, by the way, the problem is that sometimes people get advised by some who want to rule from the graves, and it won't happen. It won't happen here. But we've been very gentle and very nice with everybody else, nudging, pleading, you know, but following all the processes. I've said that right from the word go, I'm the one who gave Sascoc, based on the law, the process, to engage on this process. So we've been, where I have not was when Sascoc wanted to interject in the process, which had started in October. And I wrote to the president of Sascoc that no, this matter is now in my hands. If anything, come via me, let's talk. I'll clarify you if there's anything to be clarified. So the point which you are raising even now, Honorable Mhlongo, even though it's not related to this, I think it's an important point. We have said this thing about conflict of interest of members of Sascoc. I don't think that we can afford to ignore that. So what I would suggest to you practically on that is that if that can be written, formally raised with Sascoc, and perhaps we also get copied by your good self, I am sure that there would be intervention and look into what is happening in a way and trying to correct. But allow me to say that I am grateful to the Portfolio Committee, which shares the point that things cannot continue the same. Things must change, and things have to change. So we should work together, as we are doing in this instance. We should work together to enforce change. Change needs to come all by itself, freely. But if it can't come freely, we should find a way of forcing change, enforcing change, to ensure that those parents who have written to me over a period of time about their children looking into the future of cricket, those staff members at Cricket South Africa who faced a bleak future because people could not do the right thing, as correct as the president of Members' Council is saying, that we should exert pressure for good in this country. But I think that when the time comes for Sascoc, we will deal with the matters Honorable Mhlongo has raised and get to the bottom of them so that we are able to move forward. But I want to say to you, Honorable Mhlongo, like all other members of this committee, you actually should be happy that there is transformation. You should not be on the other side of transformation, because you have said in the past, you have raised issues about the plight of players there. So I think you should be with all of us in saying that change should cut across sporting bodies without any selective approach whatsoever, and deal with the good governance issue in sport. Thank you very much, Chair. And please allow me then to leave. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. You have asked that you are going to go, and honorable members, I'm releasing the minister to go
Point
and
of
do.
exigency, Chair, before the minister being released, if you allow me, Chair.
Yes, Honorable.
Thanks, Minister. We support transformation. I want you to note that I've raised this, but today the elephant in the room is not transformation. The elephant in the room, it's a dispute. Was there a dispute or not? Mr. Richard says the interim board had consensus, not because of the dispute, but because the minister stepped in. Now, your section 13, Minister, I think you must read it concurrently the entire session. And I support you fully that we need intervention, not interference. But your intervention must follow process. And your intervention as government, I'll make an example. If the rule says drivers must drive at 18, the minister cannot say no, drive at 20. That is uncalled for. Now, Minister, the question was not answered. My question was not answered. For an example, Minister, you did not give us a presentation. I just see here, one of the meeting you went to, you told members how to vote. That is democracy. You didn't answer my question. That is not democratically when you tell members how to vote.
It is.
But no. Can I be protected?
Yeah, because I'm leaving, Chair. I know Mhlongo is not going to finish. Let me say this, Chair.
Can I be protected, Chair? I don't want to be rude. I'm speaking, the minister is speaking, and when I do this, it's uncalled for me to speak. It's wrong, Minister. Follow process.
Yes, Chair.
Honorable Mhlongo, I'm calling you Honorable Minister out of order. But
Oh.
I'll plead with you, Honorable Mhlongo, that be short and precise.
Yeah, it's a preamble.
Please, Honorable Mhlongo.
Yeah, so I'm allowed to raise preamble. It's a committee. I'm allowed, as you've raised your comment, and you think I don't support transformation. I've supported transformation for some time. I still support it. But the elephant in the room, we're talking about MC, which is its members' council. Throughout the democratic process, we see it on the media. They were like under gunfire. And the DG must not say to us, the DG must not say to us, no, neither here or there. Read the entire section 13. There's no dispute according to Mr. Richard. There's no dispute according to Sascoc. It's what we're told now. Now to you, you are telling us there's a dispute, which is who must we believe? Sascoc just told us, Mr. Richard. Yeah, my question, let me round up, Minister.
Yes.
In order that minister to respond, Honorable.
Well, Chair,
yeah.
I'm the custodian.
The minister.
I'm the custodian
Minister.
of this.
Chair, you said I must round up. The minister is speaking while I'm rounding up. Is that procedurally done?
Please
Thank
round
you.
up, Honorable.
Chairperson, I'm rounding. Thank you very much, Chairperson. We don't want political interference. We need what you do on your left to do it on your right. And you said to us today, we'll see it across. I'll be observing, I'll be monitoring the process that MOU of all sectors, of all federation must be amended based on your recommendation.
Thank you, Honorable Mhlongo. Thank
Well,
you.
Chair, the member.
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry.
Before Minister leaves, my submission is that for us to be consistent, the Zulman report must be followed up. And in due course, we need a report as to how far are we. We can't commission report for the sake of commissioning report when we spend a lot of money. Thank you.
Thank you. Brief to the point. Honorable Minister, you are the last one.
No, Chair, thank you very much. And thanks to Mhlongo. I've said everything I wanted to say, and I'm sure that anybody who has listened to what I said. Now, I want to say, Chair.
Chairperson, if I can interject, I still have a point of order.
Yeah, ngiyabonga. Uminister akachaze kahle ukuthi ngempela lezi zinto akhuluma ngazo athi ilento leli bhola lela i-cricket of South Africa wayengasho ukuthi eyama-individual ngoba asiyiboni thina ihamba la sikhona even ey'koleni kobantu semakhaya angasho ukuthi South Africa akathi nje eyama-individual ngoba yozathi for South Africa ngesikhathi sesibona isigcwele yonke indawo lento ye-cricket. Ngiyabonga Sihlalo ukuthi kade nginenkinga ukuthi minister singadlali ungatsho ukuthi cricket yase-South Africa eyama-individual. Ngiyabonga.
Sikuzwile Mama Khawula. Uminister, I'm suspecting he's already left.
I've said, Chair, that I've responded to honorable members because, well, we have to. This is the meeting by the Parliament arm, and we've responded, except to say that Honorable Mhlongo is entitled to his views and how he sees things. But I've explained the processes following it and so on and so forth. And he's amongst the few in the country who see things the way he does on this matter. I want to say, Chair, that there's never been any confusion on our part about our act. We're the custodian of the act and would not do something which is not within the act. What we are not going to do is to focus on sideshows. If people come all of a sudden, they are experts more than government about the letter and spirit of the act itself. I won't go to that. But what we will do is to effect what needs to be effected, and that is transformation. Thank you very much, Chair. Thanks.
Honorable members, let me take this opportunity that both of our invitees, the Ministry, Cricket South Africa, Sascoc, they didn't bring any documentation. So I don't expect that when one of them are presenting and some of them, they wanted to challenge, especially in this section 13, 1A, 2B. So because of that, we allowed everyone to put his views, because there was no hair here. So now by that, I'm not going to give the presenters to interact amongst themselves, because we'll be listening on themselves. We gave them enough time to present, and I did give honorable members to do follow-ups, because it's always the case that people who doesn't have information is honorable members. The three which is Department, Cricket, Sascoc, they've been doing these interjections of themselves for many, many months, if it's not a year, since 2020. Now we called you here to present, and by saying that, let me thank both of you.
Chairperson, you did ask me to wait on my point of order.
Listen, I'm rounding up. If you listen my rounding up, I'm saying, when now I'm listening and looking, I'm writing down that you want to respond to UDG about the presentation,
Yes,
presentation.
Listen,
why are you doing this? I'm still speaking. You wanted to respond to UDG. UDG was talking about this section 13, and he was going deeply on it. 13.1a, 13.1b, 13.2a, and now you want to respond on that. both of you, you didn't bring along this, what we must look at. So by doing that, I'm not going to give you, three of you presenters to come and do what we have been doing all since last year, 2020. Both of you give us the information in writing, give us this section 13, which at the end of the day, you agreed that the minister evoke it, the Cricket South Africa. It's only you, Sascoc, that we're having a problem. So you will come back, or we'll call you back. So by doing this, I'm saying, I'm thanking all of you. No one is going to ask questions amongst your good self. Everybody has given us the information which we wanted. So I'm giving the ruling that now our meeting is adjourned until we meet you again. Sascoc, you are in our program that you are still owing to come back. We were calling you because you were supposed to be with us when we talk about cricket. And now the views that you want to object or correct the DG was supposed to do that even to your good self to correct you, but he didn't. He waited his time. So by those words, thank you for the meeting, the flow of information. But in both of you, especially Cricket South Africa, if a department wants to give some information which it's not here, I've been waiting, my pages are full. I was noting what we wanted. Through the office of my office, will be writing and asking the information which we don't have it. Honorable Dennis, we know that he is not the only person who's new at the committee. All what we're talking about the implementation of Nicholas, the implementation of the other report, which it was not easy to get once we started. We need that all the members must, what is that report? Nunzi, whatever report, will ask that it must be forwarded to my office. In those words, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, members.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Oh, baby girl. Thank you.
Namtana baby girl. Thank you.
Big go-go.
Oh, yeah.